One night, when Sam and my auntie were kissing passionately, I was shoved into a newly made sculpture. I watched in horror as Sam, unaware, sealed me inside with the sculpting clay bit by bit. Later, the sculpture was placed in Sam's study at home. After missing for several days, someone advised Sam to look for me properly. He just chuckled dismissively, saying how could Amy bear to leave me. One day, Sam accidentally knocked over the sculpture, and my right hand, with a wedding ring, fell out. In the stiff hand's palm was a positive pregnancy test. In that moment of realization, I didn't miss the shock and pain in his eyes. I was silenced by a criminal covering my mouth, a sharp blade pressing against my body. Through a glass window, Sam was embracing a woman. With cold, pale skin and a mischievous smile, it was Auntie, Mary, only a few years older than me. I couldn't believe my eyes. It felt like something in my heart twisted cruelly, and the stabbing pain spread through my body instantly. I knew there was someone in Sam's heart. It's just that I didn't know, after all these years, that person was Mary. Blood trickled from my fingertips, and the icy pain felt like a million needles penetrating my marrow. Before I could react, the icy touch and sharp pain spread to my neck. I felt a sharp pain at the back of my head, my body went numb, and everything went black. In my last conscious moment, I saw Sam and Mary locked in a passionate embrace. Earlier this morning, Sam and I had a heated argument over trivial matters. I accused him of being indifferent, not caring about me, not fulfilling his duties as a husband. After so many years of marriage, I was tired of his calm demeanor. Sam's calmness was like still water, seemingly unruffled by anything. He always looked at me calmly when I threw tantrums, then tied it up as if nothing had happened. While everyone criticized my temper, no one paid attention to his indifference towards me. They all said Sam was a responsible husband, while I was just a spoiled, hot-tempered wife. Confronting his indifference, I screamed hysterically. Dishes and plates on the table were swept off by me, crashing to the ground. The shards splintered, scratching the skin under Sam's eye. He wiped the blood with his fingers, looking at me like a madwoman. Then came his cold voice, "Amy, as I said before, if you can't stand it, you can leave." "No, you can't." A sharp sound escaped my throat as I stared at him intensely. "Driving me away, so you can be with that woman, right?" Sam's face darkened as he turned away, gripping the door handle. Panicked, afraid of him leaving, I grabbed a glass from beside me and threw it at him. The glass shattered instantly against the door frame. "You're beyond help." He finally couldn't take it anymore and slammed the door behind him. I sat alone on the cold marble floor, crying until a wave of nausea rose in my throat. Without thinking too much, I went to the hospital. 4 hours later, holding the test results tightly, my mind was in turmoil. Would this child be the chance to save my marriage with Sam? Eager for an answer, I ran to the studio to find him. Little did I know what awaited me there. My soul floated in the air, witnessing the masked killer carefully moving my body. As he stepped back, his left foot hit an empty paint bucket, making a faint noise. Who's there?" Footsteps were heard outside the door. Sam, outside the door, tightened his grip on the handle. "What's wrong with Sam?" Mary stepped forward and stopped Sam. He let go of the handle, looking at the dark storage room. "I thought I heard something just now." "I didn't hear anything." "Maybe I misheard it." Sam pinched the bridge of his nose, looking weary. "You know, Amy has been wearing me out and annoying me lately." Mary clung to Sam's hand, squeezing it tightly. "Amy has always been childish, don't take it to heart." Sam withdrew slightly. "Mary, I was wrong just now, mistaking you for Amy." Mary appeared even more flustered than Sam. She quickly pulled back her hand, tears of grievance shimmering in her beautiful eyes. "I'm sorry, Sam, you're right, we can't betray Amy." Sam sighed, "Let's go." Watching them walk away together, I shouted at the top of my lungs, but they never turned back. I crouched on the ground, wailing. Meanwhile, the killer had already moved my body to the workshop. Sam was a renowned sculptor. After marriage, we opened this studio together. The studio housed most of his works and a few of my unfinished pieces. Besides a work table and chair, there were several buckets of sculpting clay around the room. Moving and disposing of a body is not an easy task, especially since the studio is not far from the commercial street, making it easy to be seen. The criminal looked around and set his eyes on the butterfly sculpture not far away. It was my unfinished work, a huge butterfly standing with its wings extended, but hollow inside. Sam had once criticized the sculpture in front of me, saying it wasn't up to standard. With such a large space, it could fit you inside. He almost insulted me, saying I was just like that sculpture, lacking in substance. His mocking words lingered in my ears as the criminal was about to stuff my body inside. The panicked criminal gradually calmed down while handling my body. Suddenly, I saw my fingers move. I wasn't dead. A warm sensation rushed over me, melting away the previous coldness. But then, why couldn't my soul go back to my body? I watched helplessly as the criminal slowly wrapped my body in plastic film, rolled it into a cylinder, and taped my limbs securely. Finally, he slowly stuffed me into my personally designed butterfly sculpture. However, he was clumsy in using the sculpting clay, leaving a gap, even a hole in the sculpture. At least I could still breathe, so I relaxed momentarily. I realized I was temporarily unkillable. After finishing all this, the criminal cleaned up the bloodstains on the marble floor. At least on the surface, it looked like nothing had happened here. As I was thinking about how to save myself, I was forcefully pulled back home. The house was quiet. Sam hadn't come back yet. My untouched coffee was still on the table. The clock on the wall pointed to midnight. Just when I thought he wouldn't come back tonight, I heard the sound of the electronic lock from outside. Sam entered the room. The room was dim. He turned on the lights. "Amy." All that greeted him was an empty room. In the warm yellow light shining on his face, I unexpectedly saw a hint of loss in his eyes. He furrowed his brows, looked down, and turned on his phone. I saw he sent me a message, "Amy, let's talk." No response from the phone. Sam got up and went into the study. The study was in a mess. The glass cabinet, where he used to display his sculptor awards, was shattered. His favorite clay sculpture was lying on the ground, headless. His locked bookshelf had been opened, with documents and letters scattered around. The diary that held his whole youth was torn and thrown on the ground. I had done all this. Sam's lips pressed into a straight line, his cheek twitched slightly, he laughed out of anger. He slammed his fist on the desk, yelled into the air, "Amy." When he mentioned my name, he almost gnashed his teeth. Only at that moment did Sam look human, not like a cold robot. After his outburst, he stormed out of the room. But he couldn't find me in any room, so he returned to the study. He clicked on my profile picture, and quickly typed a few words. "Amy, come back to me now." He paced back and forth in the study. A few minutes later, he angrily typed out a few more words. "If you don't come back today, don't ever come back." I wanted to come back. "Please come to save me." I was getting desperate, but obviously Sam couldn't see me. I started to feel hopeless. After a few minutes, he began to clean up the study, especially the diary. He carefully glued and smoothed out the crumpled, torn pages, as if they were the most cherished treasure. Sam never let me into his study until I found that diary inside. It recorded the youthful excitement and innocence, the beauty and purity. Afterward, we often argued about the first love in the diary. Then Sam simply locked it away. After a morning argument, I accidentally grabbed his study key. My anger peaked, and I subconsciously made a mess in his study. Suddenly, his phone rang, and Sam answered it unconsciously. "Sam, I'm scared. There seems to be someone at home." It was Mary's trembling voice on the other end. "I'm coming right away. Where are you now?" The anger that surged in Sam's face receded like a tide when he heard Mary's voice. He furrowed his brows with concern and nervousness. Perhaps due to becoming a ghost, my vision had been affected. I actually glimpsed a fleeting sense of loss in Sam's otherwise calm black eyes. I shook my head. Must be a ghostly after effect. I followed Sam to Mary's apartment. Other than some unfamiliar footprints in the bathroom and on the balcony, there was no one else. Sam's brow remained furrowed. You can't stay here. Come back with me. You're home. He nodded. Mary hesitated, but Amy won't agree. She's not here. As he said this, I unexpectedly felt Sam was getting impatient. I know you don't like hotels. I couldn't help but chuckle. During the competitions in the past few years, every time I stayed in a hotel, I never once heard Sam ask if I was comfortable sleeping there. I once complained to him that the hotel pillows were very uncomfortable. All I got was his indifferent reply, just endure it. When I came to my senses, Mary had already packed up our luggage. Sam gentlemanly took the initiative to pick it up. We arrived home. There was only one bedroom in the house, and the guest room was cluttered with stuff. Mary looked at the only big bed, blushed hesitantly and said, Sam, why don't you sleep here, and I'll go back to the hotel. No need, I'll sleep on the couch. I watched as Mary put on my pajamas and lay on the bed Sam and I shared, feeling a bit angry. Our wedding photo still hung at the head of the bed. Sam, are you really going to let her sleep in our marriage bed? I pounced towards him, only to find myself lunging at nothing. Suddenly, Sam was fixedly staring in my direction. I looked back at him, my mind blank. Just when I thought he had discovered something, Mary grabbed his hand, blushing, and hugged his waist. Sam, will you stay here with me? Sam withdrew his gaze and his body tensed. What happened last night? I've already explained. I mistook you for Amy, Mary, it's in the past. Is it really in the past? Mary clung to Sam's waist resentfully. You can't lie to yourself, you clearly felt something. I know, you married Amy just to find a way to be with me, to become part of my family, right? I couldn't resist scratching Sam's face. But it was in vain. Sam calmly said, it's late, you should go to sleep. The air became heavy for a few minutes. I'm sorry, Mary's face revealed a bitter smile and embarrassment, hands drooping. After a pause, Sam got up and made a cup of hot milk for Mary. Mary, drink this milk and get a good night's sleep. But I stared fixedly at the 2 cups. The cups were a set. Bears for me, elves for him. I bought them as a joke, saying, don't they suit us perfectly? He nodded without expression. I felt uncomfortable with his indifferent attitude, and Sam tried to cheer me up. You know I don't care about this stuff, but as long as you buy it, I like it. Later, there was an incident where he accidentally gave the cups to guests to use, and I got into an argument with him. He thought I was overreacting. It's just a cup, we were out of cups so I borrowed them. I washed them clean, why are you making a big deal out of it? Sam probably didn't understand. To me, it was more than just about the cups. Angry without thinking, I swung at the cups, but they didn't tip over. Instead, my transparent arm passed right through them. I sat dejectedly on the edge of the bed, watching Sam cover Mary's cup tenderly. In Sam's diary, he wrote about falling in love with an older sister figure from a young age, not daring to confess. When he finally decided to give up, he found out she was getting married. However, on the wedding day, he saw the person he had been secretly in love with during his student days, and she was already divorced. His writing was filled with regret without admission. After all, I wasn't the wife he had envisioned. 5 years ago, I fell head over heels for Sam. They say a woman chasing a man is like a thin layer of gauze, but I didn't believe I couldn't melt the iceberg. But his repeated rejections and distance left me deeply discouraged. Until one day, when he was drunk and leaning on me, he asked a question slowly, Amy, would you like to be with me? I was ecstatic at that moment, as if I had won $1 million. I kept staring at him in disbelief. When he sobered up, I couldn't contain my excitement and asked again. Sam's eyes twinkled with a smile, pinching my cheeks. I was fooling you, I'm just a puppy. It wasn't until later that I found out he had just found out about Mary getting married. While we were together, things were ordinary. However, after the wedding, he changed. Became more distant and indifferent. Now I understand that it was all because of Mary. The diary read, "On the wedding day, I found her, kissed her in the bathroom stall, but she pushed me away and told me it could never happen. After that, I gave up. On the first night of our marriage, Sam didn't touch me. Gradually, he became cold, often staying out overnight. Only when Mary came to see me did he act like a normal person again, able to speak and laugh. Now that I'm dead, they will probably end up together." Sam politely closed the door behind Mary. The next morning, Sam left for his studio early. When he saw the butterfly sculpture, he froze. By then, a whole day and night had passed since I fell into a coma. His brows furrowed with anger as he dialed a number. I guessed he was calling me. Sam clenched his jaw, veins bulging on his hand, typed a few words quickly. "Amy, busy with your crappy sculpture and ignoring my calls, reply to my message, do you still want this home?" I couldn't reply to his text. Sam kicked a pile of debris on the ground, then walked over to the butterfly sculpture. He muttered to himself, "Has Amy gone mad, turning a good sculpture into this mess?" In my frantic and desperate gaze, Sam began to seal the butterfly sculpture with clay, smoothing out the rough ceiling and making it round and glossy. But at the same time, he sealed off any chance of survival for me. "Sam, stop, you'll kill me and our baby." No matter how much I cried or shouted, he couldn't hear me. When the sculpture was completely sealed, I realized that any chance for life inside me was gone. That unborn child also lost the chance to be born. He muttered to himself, "Maybe you're not so bad after all, the finished product actually looks somewhat beautiful." As the final rays of the sun shone on the sculpture, a sense of sanctity mixed with cruelty. "Sam, you bastard!" I despairingly screamed. But he showed no reaction. Hours later, Sam called a car to bring the sculpture back home, and placed it in the study room. Gradually, Sam started spending more time in the study. "It's strange, I feel like you gave me a sense of peace." One day, Sam touched the sculpture again, sighing. I suddenly felt a bit ironic. When I was alive, Sam found me noisy, but now that I'm dead, he talks to my body endlessly. It's been almost a week since I went missing. I have also gradually accepted the fact that I am dead. During this time, Sam's friends advised him to look for me. But he just smiled indifferently. "Isn't it always like this after an argument? She'll come back after venting." After all, Amy couldn't bear to leave me. If this had been said before, he would have been right. I couldn't leave him. But now, as a soul, I have no attachment. Something left my body at the moment of my death, including my feelings for him. Now, looking back, I feel ridiculous for stubbornly clinging to Sam's behavior in the past. As I was thinking, there was a knock at the door. Sam opened it, and outside stood Mary with a headscarf and sunglasses, only revealing her red lips. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" In that moment, I saw a hint of hesitation on Sam's face. Mary entered the room, didn't say anything, and took off her sunglasses to look at the sculpture nearby. "This is Amy's work, right?" After all these years, it seems like there hasn't been much progress. Mary lazily commented, biting on the sunglasses legs in her hand. Sam calmly said, "There are still some merits." Mary and I were both taken aback. Sam had never praised my work before. In his eyes, Mary's sculptures always surpassed mine. Sam went to the coffee machine, handling the coffee in his hand. Suddenly, Mary hugged him from behind. "Sam, I regret it, can we be together?" The coffee in the cup spilled all over the floor. The scene became a bit chaotic. Seeing this, Mary rushed to clean up the mess on the floor. Sam hurried forward, but slipped accidentally and fell backward. With a crisp sound, the butterfly sculpture fell to the ground and shattered. My right hand somehow slipped out from the crevice, the ring on the ring finger shining brightly. The air seemed to freeze for a few seconds, Then a piercing scream echoed through the room. Mary covered her face and suddenly threw herself into Sam's arms. Sam stared at the ring on the hand of the corpse, somewhat dazed. Then he pushed Mary away from his embrace and slowly walked to the body. The closer he got, I saw a ripple in his shrinking pupils. The shape of the ring was unique. Perhaps due to the habits of a creator, I personally designed the butterfly-style ring setting. Excited, I took the design to a brand store, but the sample they made was not satisfactory. So I sulked for a few days. Sam thought I was overreacting. Angered by his indifferent attitude, we had a big fight. I called the police. Staring at the ring, Sam's voice remained calm as usual. I sighed. It had been so long, he probably wouldn't even recognize the ring anymore. In less than half an hour after the call to the police, a police car stopped downstairs. As the people at the scene of the crime, Sam and Mary were taken to the police station. A case of concealed corpse immediately attracted the attention of the police. I floated beside Sam, watching him calmly answer all the questions from the police. After about an hour, a detective walked into the interrogation room. His sharp eyes fixed on Sam and said, "Mr. Sam, the results are out. The deceased is likely your wife, Amy. What do you have to say?" Sam's eyes suddenly narrowed. "It's impossible. That body is already highly decomposed. Do you have any evidence?" Although the DNA report would take a while, we found this in the palm of that body. Saying this, the officer placed a piece of evidence in front of Sam. Sam's gaze fell on the ultrasound report on the table. I unintentionally noticed his clenched fist on his knee. The final diagnosis on the ultrasound report read, intrauterine pregnancy, 40 days. Sam didn't love me. I had known that long ago. Every time we were together, he always put on a coat. So in our last intimate moment, I pierced through his coat. I thought having a child would change everything. Now I realize, it's fortunate the child wasn't born. Even if he had been, without a father's love, he wouldn't have been happy. Sam stared at the ultrasound report for a long time, until the police officer across from him frowned and took the evidence from his hands. "When was the last time you saw Amy?" the officer asked. "A week ago," Sam said calmly. "I don't believe she's in trouble. It's possible that this report accidentally ended up with the body." The police officer looked at him intently. "All right, we'll notify you when we have DNA results." Coming out of the police station, Sam was met by Mary waiting at the door. "Sam, I'm so scared," Mary said, gripping his arm, looking distraught. "What if the murderer comes after me? I feel like someone has been following me these days. What if it's like what happened to Amy?" "Nonsense!" Sam interrupted Mary sharply, surprising her and even myself. I had never seen him so angry with Mary. Seeing Mary teary-eyed and shocked, Sam paused and then calmly said, "We can't confirm yet if the deceased is her. I have something to take care of. I won't be able to drive you back today. Be careful on the way home." With that, Sam walked quickly towards the parking lot. Sitting in his car, he didn't start the engine immediately. Instead, he began dialing my number. Time after time, but no one picked up. Gradually, Sam stopped dialing. He started searching for something inside the car, and found a cigarette tucked away in a corner. He lit it slowly, his hand trembling slightly. I was surprised because he had quit smoking a long time ago, at least in front of me. After a few puffs, the cigarette made Sam cough violently. Then he started texting me. "Amy, where are you? Not talking. Are you still mad at me? Come back. I promise we won't fight again. Do you want our baby to grow up without a father? I was wrong, Amy. I know I was wrong. Will you forgive me? Amy, say something. Just reply, and I'll do anything you ask me to do." I watched in disbelief as Sam sent message after message. We had quarreled a lot over the years, and he had never surrendered, let alone apologize on his own initiative. He stared at his phone, immobile, as if frozen in place, until the cigarette burned down to his fingertips, making them red hot. His fingers instinctively recoiled from the burn, and when he picked up the phone again, his eyes showed a hint of emotion. Suddenly, the phone rang again. A strange man's voice came through. "Sam, the report is out. It confirms a DNA match with your wife, Amy." Sam listened silently, not speaking or hanging up. "Hello, Sam." Just when I thought Sam had fallen asleep, his calm voice suddenly rang out, "Okay, I'll be right there." As the call ended, his large hand holding the phone slumped down. Out of nowhere, the horn in the driver's seat blared loudly. I stared wide-eyed as Sam, who was calm moments ago, began pounding the steering wheel with his fists repeatedly. The airbag finally popped out under the immense pressure. The noise attracted all the officers from the security department. It took a group effort to extract Sam from the somewhat deformed seat. He stared blankly somewhere, allowing the crowd to lay him on the ground. With his head down, Sam lay limp on the ground. The police officer, who had just called him, rushed over and glanced at him. "Let's get him to the hospital first. Looks like he might have a concussion." As soon as he finished speaking, Sam, still on the ground, suddenly jumped up. He grabbed the officer's arm, his dark eyes filled with a terrifying intensity. "Take me there, I need to see her." Each word seemed to drain all the energy from his body. So, was Sam truly upset for me just now? No way. I shook my head. After all, upon hearing about my death, he didn't shed a tear. His earlier demeanor was just an act. I floated along with Sam's figure, drifting to the morgue. The smell of formaldehyde mixed with the stench of corpses, piercing my nostrils. Sam, who was usually sensitive to smells, didn't even furrow his brow. I saw the body pulled out from the freezer and turned my head away in disgust. I cursed that scoundrel 1,000 times in my heart. In my lifetime, I was at least considered a beauty, but now this woman with almost half her face rotted made me feel sick to my stomach. "How did she die?" I heard Sam's voice ringing out calmly. I could detect a slight tremor in his dry tone. The deceased was about 40 days pregnant, with bruises indicating resistance and a blunt force injury to the back of the head, yet the actual cause of death was not the neck wound. Although the knife cut through the skin of the neck causing some bleeding, the real cause was asphyxiation. The time of death was estimated to be between 9 and 11 in the morning on December 7th. What? Sam's muscles around his eyes tensed, and the veins in his neck were faintly visible. Say that again. The medical examiner raised his glasses. In other words, she was suffocated alive inside a sealed sculpture. The police officer repeated what the medical examiner said. "We suspect that the victim was in your sculpture studio during that time period. Where were you? What were you doing?" He looked sharply at Sam. It's impossible. Sam's eyes lost focus, muttering, "How could this be?" "Answer my question." "In the sculpture studio." Drained of all strength, Sam muttered a few words and slowly squatted down on the ground. Covering his head, pulling his hair, he finally fainted after a roar. Watching Sam being carried onto an ambulance after fainting, my feelings were incredibly complex. I never thought he would be so emotionally overwhelmed by my death that he would faint. Would he regret accidentally killing me with his own hands? And what about the child? Would Sam feel a bit sad because of the child? But at this moment, I no longer wanted to know the answers. I thought, since I'm dead, my soul should be able to leave, right? But who knew? I was still bound to Sam. When I drifted into the hospital room, he was already awake, lying on the bed staring blankly at the ceiling. Mary was sitting by his bedside, peeling an apple, softly speaking, "Amy's death is not your fault. Don't blame yourself too much. Perhaps it was done by Amy's enemies, you know, she always had a bad temper, easily losing her temper with you and the customers. It's her own fault, not yours." Enough. Sam, who had been lying in bed, suddenly sat up and shouted angrily. A beast-like roar scared Mary's hand holding the fruit knife to shake, cutting her fingertip open. Blood dripped continuously, and Mary winced in pain. But it seemed like Sam didn't notice at all, scolding Mary fiercely, "She's dead, and you're still slandering her." Do you have no conscience? That's not true, Sam, calm down. I'm not what? I stared in shock at Sam's strong reaction. His face turned blue, his eyes filled with bloodshot veins like a ghost. Staring at Mary, gritting his teeth. Amy died, right in front of us, in my sculpture studio, while carrying my child. Sam grabbed Mary's shoulders tightly, his face twisted in a grimace. If it weren't for you coming to me that day, she wouldn't have been able to argue with me, wouldn't have come to the studio, wouldn't have been killed. It's you, all because of you, you destroyed my happiness. He shook Mary's body violently, his clenched fists creaking, looking extremely terrifying, like a roaring tiger. It wasn't until a bunch of medical staff rushed in to administer a sedative that he slowly calmed down. Mary was initially stunned, then she smiled bitterly. Why did both Amy and I fall for a man like you? Sam, how can you even have the nerve to say that I'm the one who killed Amy? She smiled with a hint of mockery. The one who didn't love her and still married her was you. The one who treated her coldly after marriage was also you. It was you who sealed the sculpture that killed her. You not only killed her, you also killed your child. Bound and restrained, Sam suddenly went crazy, screaming like a madman. The veins on his neck and forehead stood out. You're wrong, it's not like that. But no one answered his question. The roaring in his throat slowly turned into low growls, then gradually into suppressed sobs. Tears gathered in Sam's eyes, and I watched as one by one, the clear tears slid down his face until he was full of tears. From stifled sobs to loud wailing. This is the first time I've seen Sam cry like a child. But I couldn't muster up any emotion. Watching Sam deteriorate, the police gave up on finding the truth from him. It wasn't long before they told him they caught the killer. Curious about the killer's identity, Sam seemed even more agitated. Looking disheveled, with wild eyes, he demanded to know who killed her. After calming him down, the police revealed that the killer was someone Sam knew, a man he had clashed with before. I vaguely remembered that man. He was the one who harassed Mary at the bar, leading to a fight with Sam. Sam was charged with assault and taken to the police station, but he refused to reveal why he attacked that man. I later found out it was because of a woman, and it angered me so much I smashed his award-winning piece. Sam and I had the same question in mind. Was that man seeking revenge on Sam? When Sam insisted on meeting him, the police finally agreed. The man, wearing a silver bracelet, arrogantly confessed to holding Sam's wife captive while Sam kissed another woman, oblivious. The man accused Sam of causing his wife's death. Sam snapped, pounced on the man, and started punching and kicking him. It took several officers to restrain him. After the violent outburst, Sam's parents took him away. He locked himself in his study for days, neither eating nor sleeping, not even attending my funeral. Despite efforts to persuade him, Sam remained silent about my death. When he finally emerged, he simply said, "Mom, Dad, I'm hungry." Sam gradually resumed some semblance of a normal life, but he never mentioned me. One day, to everyone's shock, Sam announced his intention to create art in his studio. Even his parents saw this as a sign of recovery. As Sam tirelessly worked on a sculpture, I grew uneasy. When the giant humanoid sculpture appeared before me, I was stunned. Days of relentless work left Sam exhausted, hunched over, with bloodshot eyes and a few gray hairs. Gulping down alcohol, he mumbled, "Wait a little longer, I'll be with you soon." One evening, as the sun set, I watched Sam shave and dress neatly before entering the hollow sculpture he had prepared, sealing himself inside with sculpting clay. In his last moments, he asphyxiated, convulsed, went into shock, and died, just as he had sealed me in the sculpture. In his dying breath, Sam muttered, "Amy, wait for me, I'm coming to find you." I chuckled coldly, no longer wanting to wait for him. As my body grew light, I heard someone behind me calling, "Amy, forgive me, I was wrong, I truly was. Regardless, we would never meet again." I closed my eyes and flew away.